Hi, this is Janet from Try It, Like It, Create It, and I'm going to be working today with this new ModPodge Ultra. I was sent the matte version, and I picked up the gloss version recently at Creativation. And the thing I like about it is that it is spray-on. It's very much similar to other ModPodge in that it washes with water and it dries permanently. It's for indoor and outdoor use. You don't have any brush strokes with it, which is really nice, and it's not tacky. So I'm going to give it a go on 2 different projects, but before I do that, I wanted to share with you a few other things that I got from Plaid in my box. So it was the ModPodge, and then this paintbrush cleaner, which will come in handy for with this packet of flat paintbrushes. It says artist variety, so there are some rounds in there as well, but I see mostly flats. And then I got this neat brush bucket or water bucket, which I've never had before, which is really nice. So it has the 2 different wells, and you can see the grooves where the paintbrushes lay in, but then also along the edge, the holes that can hold the different sizes of paintbrushes. So that was a really nice gift as well. Thankfully, I don't need the brushes for this project because I'm just working with the spray ModPodge. And so the first one I'm going to do is this marbled piece that I did at Creativation, and I'm going to spray this with the glossy ModPodge. And it just says to shake it for 15 seconds and to test it out first to make sure that there's no sputtering. And I have already tested it, so I can just spray it onto the project. And I'm going to give it a really big coat and see what happens. That's really generous, but I want to see what a thick coat will do. And there's a few air bubbles in there that I might try to release with a pin. And then the other project I have is this piece. I'm going to turn it upside down so I can see it a little bit better, and I'm going to spray this with the matte. And since it's matte, I think what I might do is just give it a spray and let it rest, and then if it needs more, I'll give it a second coat. So once again, the 2 spray on ModPodge from Plaid, and I'll be back once they're dry, and so you can compare the look of the 2. Hi, I'm back with my projects after spraying them with ModPodge, and as a reminder, this one over here was sprayed with the matte, and that's the gold label, which relates to the matte, and the yellow label on their originals bottle. And then this one was sprayed with the glossy, and hopefully you can see that there's a little bit of shine there, and that was done with the gloss, and that's with the red label. Now the larger bottle comes with the metallic red here, but it's still red, and that relates to the original ModPodge in gloss. And what I found was that they take about 4 hours to dry, and if you remember correctly, I put a real heavy coat on this one, and when I went to move it, most of that poured off, so I want to show you that. Hopefully you can see here the puddle on the paper I had it on, that it kind of poured off. And so what I would recommend would be to put something underneath so you lift these up from the surface that you're working on, because it can stick if you have some overspill, or even if you spray over the side, it can attach to whatever surface you're using to mask your surface area or what have you. So that would be a recommendation for that. Looking at this one closely, I wanted to show you that excuse me, There's a little bit of odd coloring happening up in here, and that is not the fault of the Mod Podge. It is the fault of, this is a laser cut piece of wood, and when you cut with laser it burns the edges, and it actually has a distinct smell to it, a little bit like fire. And when I sprayed and went, like, you know, to move the Mod Podge around, it pulled some of that burn into the surface, and so it gives it a little bit of an antique-y look, I guess. And maybe you can see where, if you look real close here, you can see where a little bit of the Mod Podge puddled, because I didn't have it laying down smoothly, but the rest is really, really smooth. So that worked well. And so those were, you know, the only tips that I had for you. Was that either one dries in about 4 hours. Now I used it just as a coating here, but it works just like regular Mod Podge in that it is an adhesive, and it will work to glue down all kinds of different materials like paper, wood, metal, cardstock, little gem elements that you might have. It'll work with all of the things that traditional Mod Podge will work with, but just in a spray formula. So hope you found this helpful, and that you can see the difference between the two mixtures, in that one is matte and it doesn't have any shine to it, but it just coats, and then the other one is glossy, where hopefully you can see that there is some shine to that. I'm happy with the coating on both of these projects, so yeah, I would recommend it, and I am pleased with the work.